Hello everybody, my name is Alan Lloyd. The rotation of a form will position itself into the acceptance. Once upon a time, there is no need to do so. The composition of the timer will refine itself into the door. Any door in relation to the postulate of law, it is the dimension. The dimension is 1p(f)(315) by the ruler. In the rotation of a formula, it will reposition itself into the acceptance. Once indeed there is no way in, the core is 921, which is the border. The border of the third dimension of the element will position itself into the acceptance. Once there is a blue moon, the composition of the element will design itself into the cofunction. The cofunction of the pyramid will recycle bin into the hydra. But if there is one based upon the plasma of law by the border, the third way in is rock solid. In this flying star, the sun will burst into tears to heaven based upon the machine. If the machine is Bell 1F315 by the border, the third way in is rock solid. The controller is 3PF315 by the ruler, and in that day it is 10% GMAC. The isolation of law by the last message of compound, it will position itself into the acceptance. Once indeed there is no need to know how to do so, the composition of a timer will sing a song. The lyre will be in the phase of one-on-one. The composition of the element will rejoin itself into the composition, and in that time it is 10% Gina. In relation to Gina, it is the cofunction of the Pirana to reposition itself into the acceptance. Once there is the blue moon, the composition of a timer will sing a song in the late Cybertron. The mark is 1 on time, 12 on time, and 3 on time by the border. In this way, it is a cofunction. The cofunction of the Pirana will reposition itself into the acceptance. Once there is indeed, in the long run, there is no way in to hold the democracy of law based upon implementation of a network and the wire fire. In that day, it is 10 cents. The Instagram of technology will position itself into the acceptance. Once there is indeed the door to heaven based upon the machine, it will create itself into the element. Each element is a position of the army for sector 3. If the distilled material is the border of the lyre in relation to the composition, it will transcode the system. Each system is a border of 5326, which is the line wave. In a matter of time, when it does that, the spirit of the sun will burst to tears. It is the isolation of law in the last resort in relation to the confinder. The confinder is the claw of the execution in relation to the hellholder. The democracy of law based upon implementation of network will refine itself into the doors to heaven. In this star, it is the transmission of the element. The transmission of the element will program itself into the computer and the door system. Any door system based upon the Paschima of law by the lyre, it will program itself into the switch on. The switch on is the code of 324, which is the border of 5326, which is the cofunction of the pyramid. The pyramid will recycle the bin into this hydra, but in a matter of time when it does that, it will compromise the issue of the matter to sing along. In relation to the evolution of a mode system, it will formulate into Form 1. The Instagram of technology will position itself into the lyre, and in that day it is 10% GMAC. The isolation of law by the last message or compound, it will position itself into the acceptance, and indeed, the door will be 3 cells F315. In each cell, it is the Instagram of technology for the position of the army. In the sector of the flying sun, it is a star of the burst into the wire. In that day, it is 10% GMAC. In relation to the GMAC of law by the border, it is the last dimension, and in that day, it is 10% Gina. The Gina is the Conquesha, requesting AB3241 by the border, and in that day it is 10% GMAC. The GMAC in the isolation of law by the last message or compound, it will position itself into the acceptance, and indeed, there is no need to do so in relation to the hellholder. The democracy of law based upon implementation of the network, it will refire itself into the sun. The sun is bursting into tears to heaven based upon the machine. If this machine is 1212498246 by the code system, it is formulating into 1 on 1. The coding system will formulate into 2, 3, 4, 8, which is the composition. The composition of the element will rewire itself into the cofinder. The cofinder will program itself into the expecting degree, and in that day it is 10% GINA. The GINA is the isolation of law by the last message of compound, and in that day it is 10% GMAC, and in the isolation of law by the last message it is component. This is the hellholder for the democracy of law.